Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video was requested and it's an interesting aspect because when I was looking for information online, there was very little to be found. The person had requested Mercury, I think square Mars, or either that or opposing Mars. And those are both hard angles. So upon looking for it online, I realized that this one site called astrofix.com, what they do is they brainstorm and they include the conjunction of Mercury and Mars and other combinations. And I urge all of you to check it out because it's a very interesting site. And sometimes when I can't find particular combinations, I look on there and they just take different phrases or different words and they just put them down. They don't say, okay, this is the conjunction, this is the square, and this is the opposition. So it's just like it gives it a more free-flowing approach, but it also lets you know that regardless of what combination you're talking about, they're going to have similar features. And it helps you to kind of just really get an idea of how these different angles can have similar themes. Now, Mercury is connected to speaking. I think a lot of people, communication and the mind. It rules the third house in the sign of Gemini, and that is the house of the mind, of the mundane mind in particular, which deals with practical information and just the function of the mind itself and communication itself. And so it also rules the sixth house under Virgo, and in that house that's dealing with health and work and things like that. But I'm not going to focus on that influence because the third house is really where a lot of these traits are associated with dealing with speech and things like that. And it also deals with commerce and siblings, so that can be included too. And what do you call it? I think it's fine motor skills, so working with your hands and stuff like that. Now, Mars is the god of war, and it deals with anger, conflict, ambition. It rules both Aries just by itself, and then with Pluto, it rules Scorpio. So the ferocity of Mars is that sense of being a warrior. And that doesn't have to be bad because sometimes a person can be on a crusade to do something to help improve the world. It's just that the flip side can be quite challenging. And so when you combine these forces of these two planets, what you get is somebody who can have a very quick mind. But when it's in a hard angle, like a square or opposition, the person can be their own worst enemy in trying to convey information because they may be doing so in an overly aggressive way. Now, what I'm going to do is, because I did go to that site and I took some of what they said, I put in my own words, so, I have to always say that because sometimes they put things a little bit differently, and I don't want to make it sound like it's all their exact wording in case they meant it in a different way. But anyway, I decided what I thought the conjunction might be based upon some of the key words that they they gave. And by the way, a conjunction, depending on what two planets are involved, can be either positive, meaning that it has a beneficial result. It can be challenging. They don't really work well together even when they're aligned. And then it can be neutral, where it just is kind of a wash. I would say that this combination, if especially if it's in maybe like an air sign where it's very detached, it's not so emotional or something like that, it might be the sign of a highly intelligent person who might excel in something like being a lawyer or a teacher, because the conjunction can make someone, it can enhance those qualities, concentrate them since they're in alignment like that. So some of the things that, and by the way, that it's like having Mercury in Aries, for instance. So anyway, some of the things that it could mean is that you are fearless in communication, you inspire other people, you put your money where your mouth is. You're not just all talk. Your words are going to lead to action. When you say something, you are going to act on it. You cut to the chase. So you are not full of crap. You just get right to it. And I notice like people with Mercury in Aries, a lot of times they're very terse. And if you know what that means, they're just, and it almost like, I have to admit, people who are terse kind of unnerve me, because I always, because it's almost like an impatience. And definitely Mars is very impatient. And I always feel like I'm boring them, because they're just like, get on with it. They're always trying to rush you. And I don't like that. And then I'm like, a humana. You're able to think quickly, and that can be very important. Think about when somebody is in a situation, let's say they run a store and they get held up, and they come up with an ingenious way to distract the robber. Things like that, that warrior energy is great under pressure, and yeah, so that, and could be a fast talker. You could be mentally competitive, including, in school, wanting to have the best grades, wanting to, win the spelling bees or something like that. You might talk with your hands. So you can see those things overall aren't really bad. They're just that they're showing that aggression, that energy behind language. Oh, another one is craving novelty for your information. So you might get bored easily with maybe like if you're a student, you just, if you don't get that rush of a new topic, a new whatever, you might just not really, you might lose interest very quickly. You're able to generate new ideas. Now, the hard angles would be the squares and the oppositions, and this is the ideas that I put in that category would be more of the, being mean, using words as a weapon, weaponized speech, I called it. Now, this is a big one because crude verbal expression, like coarse language and things like that. And Aries, talking about the one of the signs ruled by Mars, is, to me, a lot of times rough around the edges. An Aries person can be very straightforward, but also kind of unpolished and not very diplomatic and things like that. So yeah, so blunt speech that is undiplomatic. When they were talking about coarse speech, to me that would really involve a lot of profanity and vulgarities. And of course, we all know people who swear like every other word. They drop the F-bomb and stuff like that. And it does, it doesn't look very good. Sometimes people think, oh, well, it's just a word. It doesn't mean anything. And I think the younger generation does tend to hold that belief that it's no big deal. And I beg to differ. And I think some of the rest of you who are older might agree with me. And by the way, I swear all the time, but, knowing where you're at is important because it does seem uncouth. I feel like I'm, in Victorian England or something. Okay. This is funny. Well, okay, here's one that they didn't put, but I thought, why didn't they put this? Speaking without thinking, like shooting your mouth off. And this happens all the time. How many people do this? And it's because the person is not thinking before they speak, and they're angry about something. And you can't do that because you can't take it back. You can apologize, but it doesn't mean that it's going to erase those words from the other person's mind. And plus, sometimes people speak without thinking and they could lose their job. They could say something that pisses off somebody so much that they fire them or that they never talk to them again. You might be mentally overactive if you have a square or opposition. You might have an overactive nervous system. But these were kind of funny. Being a pickpocket, because again, that's that mental dexterity that's connected to Mercury. And I think a Mercury, too, can be like a con artist. So a pickpocket sometimes is a form of a con, because sometimes there'll be people who work in pairs and one person will distract the individual and start talking to him and the other one will pick the pocket. Burning hands. So again, with the Mars connected to that kind of burns and stuff like that, and Mercury rules the hands. So there might be a danger for that. And what I put was the hard angles because I felt like that might increase the chances. And that doesn't, it goes without saying that this isn't by no means saying your hands are going to, burn at some point in your life. It's just possibilities with this combination. So, what was it that I wanted to say? I wanted to say something about this, but I can't think of it. I don't have a conjunction between Mercury and Mars, so I'm not like, bam, thinking about these things in rapid fire here. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.